So I have started chapter 1, Power of Thought, Napoleon Hill. If we think about it, everything revolves around thought. The bridge that you drive under on your interstate, the houses, it all came out as a thought. Even the street that you live on, the trees that have been planted on the sidewalk, that's all power of the thought. Somebody had thought it through, somebody had designed the house, somebody had blueprints of the highway. It's all a thought, right? And it's a manifestation of the action behind the thought. So a thought is a very powerful thing. Even when we interpret our reality, it is interpreted through thought. So it's very important to understand the power of the thought. So as the day goes by, I'll be kind of filtering my day through this idea of chapter 1, Power of the Thought. And thoughts, man. Thoughts are like portals into a reality, into new reality, or just a different reality. My problem is I have two conflicting thoughts at the same time in my own head. This is where the power of the thought comes into play, because it's like this, the Native American proverb, there's an evil wolf, and then there's a good wolf. They're both hungry, and the ones that you feed is the one that you interact with. So the idea is to feed the good wolf your attention. I think in doing these kind of like a video diary thing has revealed to me my inner victim, my inner saboteur. I've read many books, The Power of Now, For Agreement, Think and Grow Rich, among many others. And I think being an immigrant child had really impacted my psyche, I suppose. And I think that's where my inner victim dwells. A lot of my depression, negativity comes from political sphere, motivated by perceived, I suppose, it's really hard to put it in words, really. In any case, it's imagined, and it rationalized with logic, but outside of myself, it's not true, even if I believe it to be true. So, in other words, for the past 20 years of my life here in America, I've created this identity that ultimately led to become a victim. And now I need to lead myself to a new identity, I suppose. Yeah. So the day is coming to an end. An interesting day with lots of progress. Started to listen to The Power of Now again, and immediately had an amazing interaction with my childhood memory, trying to identify the pain body, the victim, where all these thoughts, as the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich talks about the power of the thought. A lot of the thoughts that I was thinking today were of negative nature, and that had really that became an odd thing for me. So it begged an investigation of the source of those thoughts, the source of the thinker. And by going back to read The Power of Now, which I've read before, it had led me to believe that the thinker that gives rise to the negative thoughts comes from my childhood, I would say, not childhood, but the childhood's experience with education system. And there lies a huge monster in the room. Well, in my head, really. But I think I've identified something that's really is a beast. Having gone through so much schooling, that it really alarms me that I might be onto something very interesting. So I decided to investigate this angle further, and going forward, so sort of filter the book Think and Grow Rich through this victim self, in order to retrain myself to identify the feelings through this victim self, and to figure out how to retrain to re-feel again. Because if I am right, and my hunch is that I'm right, that a lot of my thoughts come from the victim that dwells in me, and this victim has been brought up by the experience, by the traumatic experience of education system, then I might be able to heal myself. And I'm not fooling anyone. I mean, I'm sleeping on the floor. I'm 32. I mean, a lot of people would probably tell me go to a psychiatric ward and, pop a bunch of pills and conform. But the fraction of what I have left of myself feels like there is another path. A path to feel more of who I am before I've entered this so-called education system. And I think this is going to be an interesting journey.